The city of Valora Prime glittered under the twin moons like a jewel in the dark sky. Towering buildings shaped like crystal towers rose high above the clouds, their surfaces glowing in shades of blue and green. Small hover vehicles zipped between them, leaving trails of light. The streets below were busy with hundreds of alien species walking, talking, and trading goods from across the galaxy. Inside one of those tall crystal towers lived Lyra Van. She was a young Valorian woman with smooth, semi-transparent skin that shimmered like glass. Depending on her mood, colors would ripple gently through her skin: blue for calm, gold for curiosity, and red for irritation. At the moment, her skin was a dull pale blue. That was her tired and worry-colored dot. She stood in her small apartment, looking at the empty second room. The walls of the apartment were curved, made of glowing crystal, with a view of the bustling city below. It was beautiful, but beauty didn't pay rent, and rent on Valora Prime was expensive, especially for someone working as a junior archivist. At the city library, Lyra sighed. She had posted a roommate wanted advertisement earlier that day on the Galactic Housing Network. The ad had been simple: spare room available in Central Valora Prime. Clean, quiet, respectful roommate preferred. No loud activities, no dangerous occupations. Rent split evenly. She expected replies from other Valorians, maybe a polite application from a near-human species, someone who already understood Valorian customs. She had not considered any unusual possibilities. As she prepared her dinner, a bowl of glowing nectar fruit, her message console beeped. She walked over, curious, and saw a new application for the room. Her skin flickered gold in surprise. The name read, Ethan Cross, species, human, origin, Earth. A human? Here? That was rare. Humans had only joined the interstellar community 10 years ago. They were known for being creative and adaptable, but also unpredictable. Valora Prime's government had not yet decided if they wanted many humans living in the city. Some people liked humans, others not so much. Lyra opened the application file. Ethan had written, "I'm new to Valora Prime, looking for a safe and friendly place to stay. I don't need much space. I can cook, clean, and fix basic things. I'm quiet and won't cause trouble." She tilted her head. Most applicants usually wrote long, fancy introductions about their jobs, their education, and their achievements. This human's message was short and direct. She closed the file and looked out her window, watching the city. Part of her was curious. She had never spoken to a human before. Another part of her worried. What if the rumors were true? Some claimed humans didn't understand alien laws and could accidentally break them. Others said humans had a strange way of doing things, eating cooked animal meat, using primitive tools, wearing fabrics instead of bio-grown clothing. She decided she would at least meet him before making a decision. She sent him a short reply: "You may come for an interview tomorrow evening." The next day passed quickly at the library. Lyra spent hours sorting old memory crystals, each containing centuries of Valorian history. But in the back of her mind, she kept thinking about the human. What would he look like? Would he be polite? Would he even understand Valorian customs? When the evening came, she cleaned the apartment carefully. Valorians believed first impressions were important, so she made sure the glowing crystal floor was polished, the furniture arranged neatly, and the air filled with a pleasant scent from a humming scent flower. Just as she was finishing, the door chime rang. Her skin flashed gold again. She took a breath and opened the door. A tall figure stood there, dressed in a simple jacket and trousers, human clothing. His skin was opaque, not crystal-like, and a warm shade of light brown. His hair was dark, short, and slightly messy from the wind. He had clear brown eyes and a friendly smile. "Hi," he said in a calm voice. "You must be Lyra. I'm Ethan Cross. Thanks for letting me come by." Lyra studied him for a moment. His voice sounded different from most species, warmer, less formal. She stepped aside politely. "Please, come in," she said. Ethan stepped into the apartment and looked around. His eyes seemed to take in every detail: the curved crystal walls, the floating shelves, the gentle glow of the lights. Wow, he said softly. This place is amazing. Lara tilted her head. It is ordinary for Valora Prime, she replied, unsure how to respond to his enthusiasm. They sat across from each other at the small round table. Lara began the questions. You are newly arrived from Earth. Yes, Ethan said. First time off my planet. Actually, I wanted to see more of the galaxy. I got a work visa for Valora Prime. I'll be working with a small engineering company. Lara's skin rippled with faint curiosity gold. Engineering, mostly repairs and problem solving. Ethan said, I'm good with machines, and I'm good at figuring out solutions when things don't work the way they should. She noted the confidence in his tone. Many species respected problem solvers, and Valorians valued careful thinkers. Still, she asked more. You understand that Valorian customs are different from human customs? He nodded. I've read up on the basics. No touching without permission, speak clearly, respect personal colors, follow building rules. If I get something wrong, you can tell me. That answer made her skin glow softly, a sign of approval. At least he was willing to learn. She explained the apartment. Rules: no loud sounds after night bell. No strange chemicals in the kitchen. Rent is due on first moon phase. And I expect shared cleaning duties. Ethan smiled. Sounds fair. She hesitated, still unsure. But before she could decide, there was a sudden loud crack outside the window. A small delivery drone had collided with the building and was spinning out of control. It smashed into the balcony railing, sparks flying. Lara froze for a moment. The railing's power field had gone out, leaving a gap. Before she could react, Ethan was already moving. He grabbed a loose piece of metal, bent it quickly, and jammed it into the railing's damaged section. It wasn't perfect, but the field reactivated, closing the gap. Better get that fixed properly soon, he said, brushing dust off his hands. Lyra blinked in surprise. Her skin flickered with gold and green. You fixed it? Just temporary, he said. But it'll hold until maintenance comes. She realized something, without being asked. He had seen a problem and solved it instantly. That was rare, even among Valorians. When he finally stood to leave, she still hadn't given him an answer. He looked at her and smiled. Even if you decide not to rent me the room, he said. I'm glad I got to see this place. It's different from anything on Earth. As he walked toward the door, Lara found herself speaking before she even planned to. You may move in, she said. He turned back, surprised. Really? Yes, she replied, her skin glowing gold. I think you will fit in, outside. The city's twin moons hung above the crystal towers, casting silver light into the apartment. Lyra felt something unusual, a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. She had no idea that letting this human move in would change her life completely. The first week of sharing an apartment with a human was interesting. Lyra Venn had lived alone for years, following her own quiet routines. Valorians were an orderly people, meals at the same time, work schedules carefully followed, and cleaning done with precision every 3 days. Now, her routines were being tested. Ethan Cross, the human who now occupied the spare room, had a way of doing things that was both surprising and confusing. Morning difference in Valora Prime. Most citizens started their day by drinking a cool energy drink made from nectar fruit essence. It was light, refreshing, and gave the mind clarity. Humans, however, seemed to prefer something very different. On his first morning, Lyra woke to a strange smell drifting from the kitchen. It was deep and rich, like roasted plants mixed with a bitter edge. Her skin flickered pale green, curiosity mixed with slight caution. She entered the kitchen to find Ethan standing by the counter, holding a small metal pot that steamed, a dark liquid poured into a cup. What is that? She asked. Coffee, Ethan said with a smile. It's a human drink. Helps us wake up. Lyra tilted her head. It smells heavy. It tastes heavy too, Ethan chuckled. Taking a sip. Want to try? She shook her head quickly. Valorians rarely tried alien drinks without research. Still, she found it strange. Instead of starting his day with calm, Ethan seemed to energize himself with this bitter-smelling brew. Food experiments be the third day. Lara noticed something else. Ethan cooked his food. Velorins ate fruits, gels, and biogrown grains in their natural form. Cooking was rare because heat could damage the food's light energy content, but humans, apparently, like their food warm and mixed with spices. One evening, Ethan was stirring something in a pan. The air filled with a sharp yet inviting smell. Lara stood at the doorway, unsure. It's called stir-fry, Ethan explained. Vegetables and a little protein, all cooked together. Want some? She hesitated, but decided to try. The texture was softer than she expected, and the flavor strong. Too strong for a Valorian's usual meal, but not unpleasant. You enjoyed changing the taste of your food? She asked. Yeah? Ethan grinned. Cooking is kinda like art for us. You mix things and make something new. Lara thought about that. Valorians value preserving natural purity, but maybe there was beauty in changing things too. Communication challenge. Another difference was communication. Valorians express feelings through the color shifts in their skin, but Ethan's skin stayed the same color all the time. She had to rely on his facial expressions and tone of voice to guess his emotions. Sometimes this caused small misunderstandings. One evening, Lyra returned from work to find the living room lights dimmed. Ethan was sitting on the couch, reading a glowing data tablet. You're upset? Lyra asked carefully. Ethan looked up, confused. No, just relaxing. Why? Your face looked tight. She explained. He laughed. That's just concentration. I wasn't upset. Lyra realized humans showed feelings in more subtle ways. She began to watch closely the curve of his mouth, the lift of his eyebrows, the way his voice changed slowly. She learned friends and warning snit. Everyone in Lyra's life approved of her decision. One afternoon, she met her friend Kivara for lunch at a floating cafe. Kivara, a fellow Valorian with deep emerald crystal skin, leaned in and whispered, You still have that human living with you? Yes, Lyra replied calmly. Be careful, Kivara said. Humans may seem friendly, but they're unpredictable. My cousin says they have a history of starting conflicts on their own planet. Lyra's skin flickered with faint red irritation. Ethan is not like that. He is respectful. And he fixed my balcony railing when it broke. Kivara shook her head. Just watch him, for your own safety. Lyra left the cafe feeling uneasy. She didn't like the idea of judging someone by rumors. But she also knew humans were still new to the galaxy. A small crisis that night, Lyra experienced something that tested her trust. She kept an energy crystal on her desk, a personal device that stored and balanced light energy for daily use. Without it, she would feel weak and tired. When she got home, the crystal was dim. Its surface was cracked. Her skin flashed red with alarm. She turned sharply to Ethan, who was sitting nearby. Did you touch this? Ethan frowned. Yeah, I picked it up to look at it, but it slipped and hit the desk. I'm sorry. This is not just decoration, Lyra said, her voice sharper than intended. Without it, I cannot function properly. Ethan's eyes widened. I didn't know it was that important. Can it be fixed? She sighed, calmer now. It requires a specialist. But before she could arrange for a repair, Ethan had already taken the crystal into his room. An hour later, he returned with it, the crack sealed, the light glowing again. How? She asked, astonished. Basic material bonding, he explained. Humans use it for repairing delicate electronics. I adjusted the light flow too. Lyra stared at the crystal, then at him, slowly. Her skin turned gold. Respect. You repaired it better than a specialist would have. He shrugged, smiling. Guess humans are good for something after all. A growing connection over the next few days. Lyra began to see Ethan differently. His ways were still strange, the coffee, the cooking, the habit of listening to music late at night, but he adapted quickly and was willing to learn her customs too. When she told him that Valorians didn't leave shoes inside the apartment, he started removing them at the door without being reminded. When she explained that certain colors in her skin meant strong emotions, he began noticing and adjusting his words accordingly. They still had misunderstandings, but they also had moments of laughter. One evening, Ethan tried a Valorian nectar. Drink for the first time. The sweet flavor made him cough and laugh, saying, "It's like drinking sunlight." Lyra found herself smiling more around him, a rare thing for her quiet nature. News from the Obsidian morning, while Lyra was getting ready for work. Ethan was watching the news on the holo screen. A headline flashed, "Trade disputes between humans and Valorian guilds rising." The reporter spoke about human cargo ships being accused of breaking minor laws. Some Valorian business leaders wanted to limit human activity on Valora Prime. Until the disputes were solved, Lyra glanced at Ethan. "Does this concern you?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah, it means people might be looking at me differently. Maybe even your landlord." Lyra felt a strange protectiveness rise in her. She didn't want him judged unfairly. "You have done nothing wrong," she said firmly. Ethan smiled faintly. "Thanks. Still, I'll try to stay out of trouble." The evening knocked that evening, as they were cleaning up after dinner. There was a sharp knock at the door. Lyra opened it to find an older Valorian man, the building's landlord. His skin glowed with a faint red edge. "Lyra," he said in a stern voice, "I have received complaints from other tenants. They're uncomfortable with you keeping a human in the building." Lyra's skin turned cool blue, calm on the surface, but inside she felt a mix of anger and worry. "Ethan has done nothing wrong," she said. The landlord's tone was polite but firm. "I am simply advising caution. If trouble comes, it will reflect on you as well." When he left, the room felt tense. Ethan had heard the whole thing, so he said quietly, "I'm already trouble." "Huh?" Lyra looked at him. "No, you are my roommate, and until you give me a real reason, you will stay." Ethan's smile returned, small but genuine. "Guess I'll have to prove I'm worth the rent." Lyra didn't say it aloud, but she already suspected he was worth far more than that. They would find out who it was first. The first step was to gather information. Asking questions. Next day, Lyra visited her friend Kavara again. This time at the library where they both worked. Kavara was busy sorting memory crystals when Lyra approached. "You hear anything about trouble with humans in our district?" Lyra asked casually. Kavara frowned. "More than usual. Someone's been spreading rumors that humans are planning to take over the market district. I don't believe it, but some people do." "Do you know who started it?" Lyra pressed. Kavara shook her head. "No, but I heard the name Drexler Syndicate mentioned. They're smugglers, but they also deal in information." Lyra's skin turned pale gold, a sign of thoughtfulness. "Thank you, Kavara." When she told Ethan later, he leaned back in his chair. "A syndicate. That explains a lot. Criminal groups love chaos. If humans get blamed for problems, trade gets disrupted, and smugglers make more profit." Watching the Watchers that night, Ethan decided to watch the rooftop where Lyra had seen the mysterious figure. He turned off all the lights in his room and sat by the window, eyes scanning the shadows. Round midnight, a shape appeared, tall, wearing a dark cloak, and carrying what looked like a data scanner. The figure scanned the street below, then made notes on a small pad. Ethan whispered into the comm link they had set up. "Lyra." "He's here." Lyra, in her own room, replied quietly, "Do not approach. Just observe." They watched for 20 minutes until the figure moved away. Ethan memorized the direction, toward the lower industrial district. Planning the next step following morning, over breakfast, Ethan placed a small map on the table. "That's where he went," he said, pointing to the industrial district. "Near the docks. If we follow during the day, it'll be crowded enough to blend in." Lyra's skin flickered green, caution. "And if we are caught," he smiled faintly, "we act like we're lost tourists." Valorians usually avoided a necessary risk, but Lyra's curiosity was stronger now. She wanted answers as much as Ethan did. Into the industrial district next day. They took a public tram to the industrial sector. The air smelled of metal and ozone, and massive loading cranes moved shipping containers from one place to another. They walked casually, pretending to admire the massive transport ships, but their eyes scanned for the cloaked figure. After half an hour, Lyra spotted him entering a side alley. Without a word, they followed, careful to keep a distance. The alley led to a warehouse with no sign above the door. The figure knocked in a pattern. 3 short taps, 1 long, and the door slid open. He stepped inside. Ethan glanced at Lyra. That's our place. Finding a way, Ethan circled the block and found a maintenance entrance at the back. The lock was electronic, but Ethan pulled a small device from his jacket. You carry lock tools? Lyra whispered. Earth engineers fix things, he said, with a small grin. Sometimes that means opening the wrong doors. In less than a minute, the lock clicked open. They slipped inside. The interior was dim, lit only by strips of blue light along the ceiling. Stacks of crates filled the room, some labeled in Valorian script, others in alien languages Lyra didn't recognize. They moved quietly between the stacks. Following the sound of voices, the truth revealed from behind a stack of crates. They peered into an open area where 6 figures stood around a holographic table. On the table was a 3D map of Valora Prime, with several districts marked in red. The cloaked figure from the rooftop was speaking. Our next move is to stage another human incident in the market district, he said. This will turn public opinion fully against them. Once they're restricted, our trade routes are free from regulation. Another voice asked, and the human in the central tower? Keep watching him, the first replied. If he causes trouble, we can use him as proof. Lyra felt her skin flash red, anger. She looked at Ethan, whose jaw was tight. So, it's all staged, he whispered. A narrow escape suddenly. One of the figures turned toward their hiding place. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. Move! They darted between crates, but a shout rang out. Intruders! Footsteps pounded behind them. A blaster bolt sizzled past, hitting a crate and sending sparks into the air. Ethan spotted a side door and pushed it open. They emerged into the bright afternoon, running down a narrow street as shouts echoed behind them. They didn't stop until they reached the tram station, panting. They boarded a crowded car just as the syndicate members appeared at the far end of the street. Lyra's skin was still bright red. They know we saw them, Ethan nodded, and now they'll be coming after us for real. Going public or staying quiet? Back at the apartment, they locked the door and sat at the table. We have proof, Lyra said. If we tell the city guard, they will act. Ethan shook his head. The guard might be compromised. If the syndicate is friends in the government, we'll just be giving ourselves away. Lyra frowned. Then what do? We gather more evidence, Ethan said. Enough that they can't deny it, even if they want to. Her skin shifted slowly to gold. Reluctant agreement. Then we will need to be careful. They will not let us get close again. Ethan smiled faintly. Careful is my middle name. Lyra gave him a look. Somehow, I doubt that. A plan forms over the next few days. They watched the industrial district from a safe distance, tracking who came and went from the warehouse. They noted delivery times, the arrival of large unmarked crates, and late-night activity. Ethan began building a small scanner from parts he bought in the market. If we can plant this inside, he explained, it'll record all their meetings. No need to hide in the shadows. Lyra's skin glowed gold again. Impressed. Humans are resourceful. Or stubborn, Ethan replied with a grin. Depends who you ask. The risk ahead be the end of the week. They had a plan. They would sneak back into the warehouse during a delivery, hide the scanner, and leave before anyone noticed. But both of them knew the risk. If they were caught this time, the syndicate wouldn't just chase them away. They might disappear entirely, standing on the balcony the night before the mission. Lyra looked out at the glowing city. If this goes wrong, we will be in danger, she said quietly. Ethan joined her, looking at the same view. Yeah, but if we do nothing, we'll still be in danger, and so will every human trying to live here. Her skin slowly shifted to a warm gold. Then we will not fail. Ethan smiled. That's the spirit. Neither of them said it aloud, but they both knew tomorrow could change everything. Morning on Valora Prime was bright but tense. From their apartment balcony, Lyra could see the bustling market far below, unaware of the danger in the shadows. Today was the day. They had one small scanner device, built by Ethan from spare parts and a few secret tricks only. Humans seemed to know. If placed inside the Drexler Syndicate's warehouse, it could record every conversation and send the data to a safe server Ethan had hidden on a secure channel. If they succeeded, they could expose the Syndicate's plan to frame humans. If they failed, there might not be a second chance. The approach plan was simple. During the morning delivery run, they would blend in with the workers unloading crates. The scanner was small enough to hide inside a tool bag. Once inside, Ethan would plant it near the meeting room, and they would leave unnoticed. But nothing in their lives lately had gone simple. Ethan adjusted the straps on his bag. Remember, if something goes wrong, don't wait for me. Get out. Lara's skin flickered green, a sign of warning. I will not leave you behind. He gave her a small, crooked smile. Let's hope you won't have to. Slipping inside, they reached the industrial district just as a cargo haul rolled up to the warehouse. Dozens of workers in gray uniforms moved crates onto hover pallets. Ethan and Lara joined the group, keeping their heads down. No one questioned them. In busy places, people rarely looked closely. Inside, the air was warm and smelled of metal and engine oil. Forklifts hummed, and workers shouted instructions. Lara kept her gaze forward, counting steps to stay calm. At the far end, Ethan spotted a corridor leading to the meeting room they had seen before. He whispered, "This way." The planting hallway was empty. Ethan knelt near a stack of crates and pretended to check a data pad while sliding the scanner under a vent grill. Lara watched the corner. Her skin shifted gold. Alert! Someone was coming. Ethan. She started, but too late, a voice barked. "Who are you?" Captured two large Valorians in dark clothing stepped into the hall. One grabbed Ethan's arm, twisting it behind his back. The other pointed a stun baton at Lara. Ethan tried to pull free, but the guard shoved him forward. "You're not supposed to be here. We were lost," Lara said quickly, trying to sound calm. "We were looking for—" "Save it," the guard interrupted. "The boss will want to talk to you." They were pushed into a side room, bare except for a table and chairs. The cloaked figure from before, the one they had seen on the rooftop, entered. Well, he said with a slow smile. The human and his curious friend. "I was wondering when you make a mistake." The interrogation-cloaked man leaned on the table. "Tell me, human, why are you so interested in our business?" Ethan met his gaze. "Maybe because your business is framing my people." The man chuckled. "Framing? We prefer the term shaping public opinion. And once everyone fears humans, the market will be ours alone." Lara's skin flared red. "You will not succeed." The man's smile faded. "You think anyone will believe you? No one will hear your story." He motioned to the guards. "Take the human to storage. As for the girl, Lara's moved before." The guard could grab her. Lara acted. In a flash of movement, she kicked the stun baton from his hand, grabbed it in midair, and shocked the second guard in the side. Ethan used the distraction to elbow his captor and break free. "Run!" Lara shouted. They dashed out into the hall. Shouts erupted behind them. The chase workers scattered as the two sprinted through the warehouse. Ethan grabbed Lyra's arm and pulled her toward the loading docks. Blaster fire sizzled past them, striking crates and sending sparks into the air. Lyra ducked behind a container while Ethan pulled out a small metal disc. "What is that?" she asked. "Plan B," he said, pressing a button. The disc emitted a high-pitched pulse, and every light in the warehouse flickered out. Shouts of confusion filled the dark space. Getting out of the cover of darkness, they slipped toward the nearest exit. The main gate was blocked, but the maintenance door at the back was still open. They bolted through it and didn't stop until they reached the tram station. Only when the tram doors closed did Ethan allow himself to breathe. The scanner, Lyra smiled faintly. "It is still in place, even when they caught you." They did not notice it. Ethan grinned. "Then we have them. The upload back at the apartment." Ethan connected to his hidden server. Data from the scanner flowed in clear recordings of the syndicate discussing their plans, naming contacts in the government, and even laughing about the staged human incidents. "This is enough," Ethan said. "More than enough." Lara's skin glowed bright gold, satisfaction. "Then we will send it to the city guard and every major news channel on the planet. Ethan replied. He hit the send button. The Faluth next morning, Valora Prime was buzzing with shock. News feeds replayed the syndicate recordings over and over. The names of corrupt officials were broadcast publicly, and raids began almost immediately. The Drexer Syndicate's influence collapsed within days. Humans were no longer treated with suspicion in the market district, and the whispered rumors disappeared. A new normal weeks later, Lyra and Ethan were sitting on their balcony again, watching the city lights. You know, Ethan said, when I first answered your roommate ad, I thought the biggest challenge would be figuring out Valorian rent rules. Lyra's skin shimmered with amusement, and instead, you fought criminals and helped save an entire community's reputation. He grinned. Guess that's a little more exciting than reading Elise. Lyra turned to him, her skin glowing a soft gold. I'm glad you answered the ad, Ethan. Me too, he said quietly. The final Surprizia delivery drone flew up to their balcony and dropped a small package. Lyra opened it. Inside was a note written in neat Valorian script. You made powerful enemies, but also powerful friends. Stay alert. There was no signature. Ethan looked at her. Think this is over. Lyra's skin slowly shifted to a cautious green. Not entirely. But for now, we have peace. He leaned back in his chair, watching the stars above. Then let's enjoy it while it lasts, and in the quiet hum of the city night, the human and the alien roommates shared the rare comfort of knowing they had faced danger together and won.